The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation, make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels, operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Chubbuck, Idaho, on your new fire apparatus, job number 33773. Please utilize this job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Let's start just under the front bumper. Under the front bumper is where you're going to find two open-ended tow hooks attached to the frame rail. Moving up from that location onto the face of the bumper, you'll find passenger side and driver side air horns. Located directly in the center, you'll find your PA speaker siren, and then moving over to the notch in the bumper on the driver's side is where you'll find your mechanical siren. Moving up into the space of the bumper extension is where you'll find a swivel discharge located in the hose tray. Moving up onto the top of the body itself, on the outer edges, you'll find a turn indicator marker light. Moving just inward of that location, you'll find your headlight cluster housing the low and high beam. High beam will be located on the inside. Up from that, you'll find the next cluster housing the turn indicator and an emergency warning light. And then just above that, you'll find a grab handle for ease of accessing the windshield area on the passenger and driver side. Across the seamless windshield, you'll find 3 windshield wipers. And then out onto the outer edges of your vehicle, you'll find a mirror which houses a convex and also a flat portion. Moving up to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find 5 running lights across the top. Located directly in the center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. Moving up from that location to the roof, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located with inside the light bar in the very center, you'll find your opticom. Let's move around, get a side view of your apparatus. On the bumper extension, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. As we move up, you'll find grab handles for your door, which will allow you to gain access inside. They are a keyed latch. Moving up from that location, once again, grab handles that will give you access into the vehicle for ease for firefighter safety and security. Moving up from that location onto the mirror, once again, convex and flat portion. And then moving up to the side, you'll find a side-facing floodlight. Let's take a look at some close-ups here. First, we'll start with the bumper extension area. You'll find the 1.5-inch swivel discharge inside, dry deck material. As we move around to the side of the vehicle, this is the driver's side, you'll find your keypad to gain electronic access for your door locks. Just up from that location, you'll find the shoreline inlet. This is a 20-amp auto-eject plug. Let's now move to the midsection where you're going to find a few warning labels. We'll go over some of those. This is a warning regarding pressure hazard. Be cautious when opening caps, it may be under pressure. And you'll also find a warning here regarding fall hazard, not to ride on the side of the apparatus. Just beneath that, you'll find a warning label here. This is for foam failure, not to mix different brands, consistencies, or type for foam failure hazard. On the left, you'll find 2.5-inch discharge. They're going to be controlled by driver's side number 1 and driver's side number 3. Moving just to the center, Pierce logo, you'll find your large diameter intake, and then moving to the right, you'll find the lever on the right that has a red cover. That is your foam draft tank. Moving down, you'll find the 2.5-inch female inlet. This is your auxiliary inlet. Just beneath that, you're going to find all of your associated and color-coded drains. As we move up from this location, you'll find your crosslays or speed loads. There are 2 located in the lower section. You'll also have a release mechanism to move that speed load to the ground for future loading. You'll also find a warning label here that is an entanglement hazard. Because of those lines coming off from above, there is the possibility of entanglement. On the left-hand side, you'll find long tool storage location for 2 tools, one for the passenger and one for the driver's side. Moving up to the next level, you'll find backboard storage location accessible from the passenger side. And as we move to the very rear section, you'll find an additional crosslight. Just beneath that, you'll find the release mechanism for that speed load. Let's move now to the very bottom where we'll get some close-ups. This is the driver's side auxiliary inlet. Once again, 2.5-inch female inlet. As we move up from that location, this is your foam fill operations. You can see the lever goes from draft and tank. And then as we look to the left-hand side, you'll see those 2.5-inch male discharges, driver's side number 1 and number 3. Let's move now to the compartment at the very top, where we'll begin. First starting, if your pump is properly engaged, this light will be illuminating, indicating your pump is engaged.
To the left, you'll find the foam module for foam A. In the gray section, you're going to find two large gauges. First, your pump intake gauge on the left-hand side. This will be the master intake. And then to the right, you'll find your master discharge gauge. Just beneath the two of those gauges in that same gray module area, you'll find the test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently plugged. Let's move to the right-hand side where you'll find your PCM fault. At the very top, you'll find an amper indicator for that PCM fault, and you'll also find an audible alarm. The outer edge of the bezel will allow you to dampen the sound of that audible alarm. Let's move down from this location where you'll find your discharges. All of these discharges are foam and water capable, clearly identified, color-coded. To the right, you'll find your throttle pressure governor. We'll go over that next. First, starting in the upper right-hand corner, if illuminated, it would be yellow. It is a check engine light. And then as we move to the center in the red area, this will be a digital readout for the RPM. Moving to the right, if illuminated, would be a stop engine light, and this would be red in color. Just beneath that, you'll find diagnostic information for your engine, and then beneath that, you'll find the blue module, which will give you information regarding the amount of water in your water tank. To the right, you'll find two buttons. First, the silence button, and then the menu button. The silence button is the audible alarm silence. Just down from that location is the menu button, which allows you to scroll through the various menu functions. As we move down to the next section, you'll find the two options of pressure control or throttle control. How you make those changes is through the blue module button. Once again, in the center, you'll find a digital readout that will display menu information. You have two options, either pressure control or throttle control. Once again, the blue button is how you scroll through those various functions. Located in the center, you'll find a throttle ready indicator, which will be green in color. And then to the right, you'll find a green preset button. This will allow you to set various presets. Down at the very bottom, you'll find the throttle control. Turn right to increase the throttle, turn left to decrease. In the center, you'll find if you push, that is an idle button. Let's go ahead and move down to the lower section here. The next module we'll talk about is this placard. This is your minimum operation maintenance schedule, and we'll just come back to that in a moment. Moving all the way to the very far right, you're going to find your reel blowdown. This is a twist, not a pull. As we move to the left, you'll find your tank fill and recirculating line. Next to it, you'll find your tank to pump. Your vehicle is equipped with two electronic valves. These are the two electronic valves. They first operate the number 2 passenger side discharge, and then also the large diameter passenger side discharge. The red module is going to be your foam module. This controls your Husky 3 foam system. And then to the right, we're going to find your fire pump primer. This is an air prime. There are instructions just beneath for best practices. You should be at least 1,000 RPMs. As we move down, you're going to find to the very far right your deluge discharge. This is the discharge or master stream on the top of your vehicle. You also have air outlet located on this side. This is a twist, not a pull, and then the air check located just below that. We do have some informational placards here regarding your foam system. This is your Husky 3 foam system. There are also instructions and specifications just beneath. Let's move back up to that minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250. Those are your NFPA tests. To the left-hand side, you'll find the GPMs that are associated with those PSI, and then on the right-hand side, you'll see the RPMs. You do have a governed speed of 2,400 and the job number of 33773. The red module is going to be your Husky 3 foam system. There are instructions on this module itself, but let's first start with the very left, system on off in green, a digital foam percentage readout and the upper digital readout, the gray buttons, increase and decrease foam, right prime, and also a system status light. As I move further down on the pump panel, we'll find your primer drain and also your reel drain. These two are twist, not pull. As we move down below that, you'll find all your color-coded and also labeled drains in this area. Let's talk a little bit what's behind the pan door next. You'll find this yellow handle, which coincides with the sticker on the left-hand side of the door. This is for foam fill operations. As we move down, you'll find your manual pump shift override. It is a protected switch, and then just to the right, you'll find an amber indicator indicating that you've selected that switch. Let's swing all the way to the left-hand side. We'll find a set of switches here indicating floods, air horn, and also a water pump. Let's move now to the next compartment. This houses your toolbox. The upper section will allow you to reach those doors individually. You do have 3 SCBA bottle storage with retaining straps just in front of the rear tire. Just over the rear tire, you'll find this compartment which houses your tool board. The D handle allows you to release the mechanism. As it moves all the way into the open position, it will lock into position. To restore, simply release the latch on the hinge side. Your vehicle has a silver ultra low sulfur diesel fuel, and you also have a blue DEF 4.5 US gallon. As we move to the next compartment, you'll find the release mechanism on the lower section where the arrow is indicating to release that tray. Underneath there, you're going to find wheel chocks in front of and rear of the rear wheel. Just a general look here at the side of the apparatus with your roll-up doors and also lights at the very top, emergency and also side-facing warning. As we move to the rear of the apparatus, you're going to find your brake, turn, and reverse lights. Moving upward from that location, you'll find rear scene lights. And then as we move just inside of that location, you'll find a set of 3 switches. We'll cover those in just a moment. I've got a little bit better close-up of that. The D handle with the diamond plate is going to be your ladder storage location. We'll talk about that in a minute. You also have a rear discharge 2.5-inch male outlet on this side. As we move to the center, you'll find your backup camera. Just above the backup camera will be your traffic advisor. Let's go ahead and cover those switches now. First, starting on the left-hand side, this is going to be your rear floodlight. In the center, you'll find a rear scene light, and then at the very far right, you'll find your rear hosebed light. You also have additional storage. There are 2 compartments here, one a D handle and the other a paddle latch. The D handle houses all of your suction hoses at the very top. Just beneath that with the latch handle, it'll be your 10-foot folding ladder and then long-handled tool storage. This is a 24-foot extension ladder and a 14-foot roof ladder. We do have some warning labels we'll need to cover. First, pressurized hazard because of that 2.5-inch discharge above you. Be cautious when removing that cap. Also, you have an entanglement hazard because we have hose coming from aloft. And then also we have some fall stickers and also some injury here not to ride on the back or side of your apparatus, and be cautious when climbing on your vehicle. Let's go ahead and move all the way down to the very bottom section here to the roll-up door. Behind it, you're going to find your red line. In that red line, you'll also find a manual rewind and then also an electronic rewind. The manual rewind is just the lower section where the slot is with the manual tool. General view here of the rear section of your apparatus. As you can see on the right-hand side, you do have a ladder for going aloft. Just a couple of reminders here. That ladder does have the ability for some pinch hazards. It does extend outward and then also drops downward. Let's now move to the very top section of your apparatus, where we'll find forward and also rear storage compartments. These hatch compartments house dry deck material inside and also LED lighting. There are 4 of them located on the very top section of your apparatus. Let's go ahead and move now to the passenger side forwardmost hatch compartment. This is the compartment from the top side which you'll gain access for the fill location of all your absorbent material. The paddle latch is the actual location where you'll lift that latch and gain access into that absorbent material inside that area. We'll show you later on in the video where it comes to the point where the discharge location would be. As we go just forward of this location, you'll find your water fill location. This is the main fill for top fill of your water tank. There's also a fill location top fill for your foam class A. There's also a warning label here regarding not to mix different brands, consistencies, or type for failure of foam failure. As we move to the right, you'll find your master stream device deck gun at the very top. And then you'll also find on the left-hand side, this is your foam operations pump. This is for your Husky 3 foam system. There is a foam hydraulic oil reservoir. This is the location for the fill of that reservoir. Let's go ahead and move now to the cab of your vehicle. This is a non-walking surface, and that's why we've placed these 2 stickers in these area indicating there is a slip hazard. Quick side of the vehicle, we'll start in the very first compartment here at the very rear of the apparatus. We do have a pull-out tray, the release mechanism down on the lower right-hand side. As we move to the very top of the compartment, when plugged into shore power, this outlet will be active. As we look inside the compartments, once again, dry deck material, LED lighting, and also adjustable shelving. As we move just to the rear section of the apparatus tire, you'll find bottle storage with retaining straps for 3 SCBA bottles. The midsection here, LED lighting inside this compartment and the ability for adjustable shelving if necessary. Just in front of the rear wheel is where you'll find additional bottle storage for 3 bottles with retaining straps. This is the compartment referred to earlier. You do have a pull-out shelf, and this is the location where you would find to release any of the media for your absorbent. Also, I'd like to point out in this same vicinity is where your exhaust is located. Please be cautious where you park your vehicle. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures are in this area. Let's now move to the forward section. This is just at the mid location of your apparatus. Same configuration and layout. Access here to hose storage, tool storage, and also backboard storage. Let's start now at the midsection here where you'll find your cab lift. There are instructions and operations for that. It is a protected switch for the raise and lower and also the activation switch. We do have a warning here regarding fall hazard. Be cautious when operating on the side of your vehicle, and also once again a pressure warning hazard because of those caps being under pressure. The Pierce logo is going to be your large diameter pump intake. Just to the right of that location in orange, you'll find your passenger side 2.5-inch discharge. This is an electric valve, so we do have an override. You also found your large diameter discharge. Once again, electric valve. That's why we have the override. Moving down to the lower left-hand side, you'll find your 2.5-inch female auxiliary inlet. And then at the very bottom, you'll find all your associated color-coded and labeled drains. Let's move back up to that cab lift here for a close-up. You can see there's cab raise instructions and also cab lower instructions. As we move to the right, you'll find the 2 overrides where it requires a special tool to override that. As we move to the very bottom, auxiliary passenger side inlet, 2.5-inch female. As we move just inside the cab, I would like to point out at all points of entry for personnel, you'll find these labels affixed to the door panel. You'll also find in the rear section the red handle, which will gain access for firefighters' ease and exiting. As we look inside, you'll find roll-up compartment doors. Inside, you'll find shelving and also LED lighting with inside those shelves. You'd have one forward-facing seat, which does have an SCBA mounted in the center. As we look forward in this area, you'll see the yellow arrow pointing downward. That's indicating for your daily checks for oil and transmission, there is a light within inside this compartment. Let's move now to the captain's area. First, a point of entry for personnel, so we have those warning labels affixed to the panel. Your vehicle is also equipped with a supplemental restraint system, an airbag, and be cautious when mounting any equipment. Down in the lower right-hand corner, you find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. As we move under the officer seat, you'll find additional storage in this glove-boxed area. As we move overhead, we'll find push on and off red and white lights, and I would like to direct your attention to the very center location. This is a red indicator indicating that you have a door open or a compartment open. It will flash and also provide audible sound. At the very top section here, you'll find your seatbelt information, red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted, green indicating they're in the seat and belted. Moving up from this location, we're going to find you have 2 12-volt access, USB, and also barrel style. At the very top, you have your air horn and also mechanical siren push buttons. Let's go ahead now and move over to the operator's seat. First, at a point of entry, you'll find these labels affixed to the door panel. These are warning labels. As we move inside the cab, about the right ankle of the operator, you'll find some additional warning labels, and we'll also find a yellow placard, which we'll go over in just a few moments. You will find also when plugged into shore power, your battery indicator will illuminate down in the lower right-hand corner. You do have mechanical locks here and then also electric door windows. This is the battery voltage. When plugged into shore power, this becomes active. Let's go over that yellow provided from Pierce Manufacturing for your fire department. You do have the date of manufacture, the job number, which is 5 digits. It also has gross vehicle weight ratings, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, and also all of your fluid capacities for the components and also the fluid type. As we move to about the left knee of the operator, you'll find the master battery switch in silver. To the right, you'll find your engine, transmission, and diagnostic port, and also J1939 diagnostic port. As I move downward from this location, you'll find your ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostics, and then regen inhibit. Moving up from that location, you'll find an indicator for pump and roll, and you'll also find your water pump and foam system. To the right of the column, you'll find a digital readout for the pump pressure. To the right, you'll find water and also foam level indicators. In that same vicinity, you'll find the main mirror controls and also your convex mirror controls. On the left-hand side of the column, closest to the door panel, you're going to find your ignition and start switch. Just inside of that location, you'll find an EM switch, which stands for Emergency Master, controls all your emergency lights, headlight and parking light control, and also a panel rocker switch, which will allow you to brighten or dim the panel lights. On the opposite side of the steering column is where you'll find the OK to engage your high idle indicator and switch. As we move overhead of the operator, we'll start at the very top with this yellow placard. Height 10 feet 3 inches, your length 32 feet 1 inch, gross vehicle weight rating 49,000 pounds. If you make any adjustments to your vehicle, please update this placard. Let's move slightly to the right where you'll find a set of switch panels. First, on the first switch panel, the Emergency Master switch, which is the same switch it activates down in the lower section on the left of the column. You'll also find your roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. Let's move slightly to the right. You're going to find the Opticom switch, high beam flash, siren or horn selector, air horn or electric horn selector, and also in red, a siren brake. When these switches have been engaged and they do have an indicator, they will illuminate in the color green. Let's move just to the right of this location. This is going to be your PA and also your electronic siren. Moving further over, this is your traffic advisor, and as we move further over, you'll find your seatbelt information sign. Let's go back to the dash on the panel. You'll find your transmission oil, DEF, and water temperatures. To the right, you'll find the volts, fuel level, front and rear air, your speedometer and also tachometer directly in the center, diagnostic information above and below the speedometer. As we move to the right, you're going to find at the very top your monitor for your backup camera. We do have several sets of switches in this location, so we'll get a little bit better close-up of those switches, and we'll go over some of those. And then you'll also find just beneath that, you'll find an additional set of switches, and in the upper right-hand corner, you'll find your push to apply your fluid for your windshield wiper. Let's start first with the front flood, driver's side and passenger side floods, rear flood, rear scene, and perimeter lights. To the right, your windshield wiper control, push for windshield wiper fluid. As we move downward, you'll find the engine brake on and off, a setting switch for that engine brake for low, medium, and high, a protected tire chains, future switch, load manager, and also mirror heat. As I move further down, you'll find the yellow pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. On the right-hand side, you'll find a digital readout for your Allison transmission with an informational note to pump in neutral. Let's move slightly to the right where you'll find your climate control. We do have some warning labels just at the very bottom of the climate control area. Looking from the front to the rear, you'll see your center seat, 2 rear-facing seats, and then also your EMS compartments. Congratulations on your new fire apparatus. If you have any questions regarding your vehicle or any components, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Congratulations.